Investor trust is at an all-time low. And yet right now, there's some financial expert online who is packing your clients' inboxes and news feeds with advice that sounds better, smarter, and faster, but is it actually trustworthy? That's the question that every investor is asking right now. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 steps that you can take to win investors' trust in a noisy, saturated marketplace. Hi, I'm Jon Cook, founder of Keynote Content, helping you speak with conviction and scale your message in a smart, responsible way. I've personally worked with hundreds of advisors and over a dozen broker-dealers one-on-one, helping them figure out how to grow their advisory businesses. And the most surprising part is that the advisors who are winning today, they aren't just churning out a massive wave of content. They're not just cold calling or buying lists or trying to play some type of marketing game. They aren't simply being louder, they're simply being clearer. I'll show you exactly how they create that clarity in a minute, but this is the bedrock of trust, and it matters even more now because the game has changed. Advisors, you're not just competing against each other anymore. You're not competing against algorithms and prompt responses and this flood of AI-generated sameness that's already plaguing the financial services space. So how do you build trust and stand out as an advisor in an AI-driven world? You don't do that by trying to just straight up head-to-head compete against AI. No, you don't try to out-prompt ChatGPT. No, there are 3 things that AI will never be able to fake, things that you can do right now. And the last one, it's why some advisors are seeing massive opportunities and others are just fading into the noise. For maybe the first time in history, the messenger matters as much, if not more, than the message. Because investors, they likely didn't sign up with you as their advisor because you have the best product suite or the highest amount of AUA or even the longest track record. Investors work with you because they trust you. And let's call it out. That's not an earth-shattering statement. But the problem that we have to acknowledge though is that as more AI-powered solutions enter the advisory conversation, that level of trust simply cannot be taken for granted. Because AI, it can assist your process, and I love using AI. I love using AI and helping advisors with AI, but it cannot become your presence. It can help with the process, but it can't become your presence. And the advisors right now who are choosing to replace human-driven interactions, you're choosing to replace that with AI, they will see that trust evaporate like that. Where does that leave you as an advisor? Well, the advisors who will win with AI, they're the ones who are choosing to augment trust, not synthesize trust by using AI. Because you can't fake trust. If it has to be fabricated, it's not real. That's why I have this obsession with helping advisors stand out in a noisy, trust-starved marketplace. Because there are people who want to know who they can trust in a world that's getting even more confusing every single day. So let's walk through these 3 steps that you can take right now to stand out and build trust as an advisor in an AI-saturated marketplace. The first step that I recommend is that you stop using pre-approved content. Just get rid of that boilerplate, vanilla flavored content. Stop using it. Because every advisor knows the drill. Your broker-dealer, they have this content library. It's filled with pre-approved articles about Roth conversions, budgeting tips, tax planning, retirement basics. So what do? You add your logo, you maybe add your headshot, you swap out a headline, and then you hit send. The problem is that the advisor down the street has access to that same library. They're sending the same article, and so is the advisor across town or even another advisor in your same office. And what does that tell your clients and your prospects? That your advice is replaceable, that you don't really have an opinion or anything original to say, that your voice isn't your own. Even if you say it is, by sending that article, it's saying it's not. So quick gut check moment. If your client and your prospect can't tell your content from the next advisor's content, how long before they start shopping for someone new? Let's call it out. Boilerplate content is safe, but it's also soulless. And the uncomfortable truth that a variety of these, I call them these advisor content farms, that they don't want you to know is that pre-approved content isn't always trusted content. Sometimes vanilla flavored bland content is the very thing that's eroding your credibility and your differentiation. But I get it. Compliance is a non-negotiable, and I make it a point to never recommend an advisor go against their compliance department's guidance. They're not your enemy. In fact, they're not some necessary evil. I would say that your compliance department is one of the most underused valuable assets for any advisor. If you're just starting to get your perspective out there, you may want to take this hybrid approach to using content. Take that boilerplate content from your broker-dealer, from Smarsh, Smart Asset, or whatever it might be. Again, these some good organizations, and you take that content, use it as a foundation for your thinking. Don't use it as a substitute for your voice. Use it as a starting point for where you want to actually share your perspective. Maybe what you do is you rewrite that in your own words. You can add your perspective. You can say, hey, here's what this article gets right, and here's what I'd add, and here's what I'd change, and here's what it means for you as the reader. So as an example, take this pre-approved quarterly market update. Just pick a quarter, upcoming or most recent one, and record a 60 to 90 second Loom video that's titled, here's what I'm watching for you this next quarter, and then attach that video with the market update. That market update is probably in a PDF format, so you just use it as an attachment to an email, but you have that video. So it's the same core info in that video, but now your perspective is layered on top of that. This is how top financial advisors are protecting the credibility and differentiating themselves in an AI-driven marketplace. Because your clients, they don't want more content, they need your perspective. They crave what you have to say. And when you ditch this boilerplate content, you're telling your book, I value your trust enough to show up as myself and not as some type of template. And that is what continues to build trust and helps you stand out in the marketplace. So real quick, if this is resonating with you, give us a like, hit subscribe, catch the rest of this financial advisors and AI series that I'm doing. You can catch more of those videos, hit subscribe. We'll keep going from here, okay? So the second thing you do is that once you get rid of boilerplate pre-approved content, that's a new lease on why people choose to work with you in the first place. Again, clients, they don't want more data, they want perspective. So when markets wobble, when this new tax ruling hits, when the headlines scream recession, inflation, all these things, your clients aren't asking, what's the market doing today? They're asking, what does my advisor believe is happening in the markets today? What is my advisor's take on this, and how does it affect me and my financial reality and my financial future? And this is where too many advisors are afraid to speak with conviction because they think, what if I'm wrong? What if I offend somebody? What if compliance pushes back and I have to water down my perspective? So let's address that last question first, because again, I want to be highly respectful of the compliance perspective. You already know 95% of what you can safely say. So lean into that. And having conviction doesn't mean making these wild, non-compliant predictions. It means being clear about what you know, what you believe, and how you guide people through uncertainty. Again, instead of forwarding this market commentary PDF from your broker dealer, pick somebody, you get this market update. Imagine sending a 2-minute video to tell your clients, here's what I'm watching, why it matters to you, and what I'm doing or recommending in principle. Keep it plain, keep it specific, and keep it client-centered. It's that straightforward. You don't have to have fancy production, just do a you talking head video on your computer, on your phone, and send that. Nothing about that video. It requires these hot takes or these forecasts. It was clear contextual guidance with your perspective guiding the video. So I'll never forget an advisor, I coached him on, he swapped out his firm's pre-approved commentary for a 90-second video to his clients. And within 4 hours of sending that pre-approved commentary with him with his 90-second video, he sent that video. Within 4 hours, 3 different clients replied saying, this is why I work with you. Thanks for what you shared to help me better understand the market update. That's the power of conviction. So all these countless other advisors are simply slapping their logos on the same market commentary or on the same article about retirement or whatever. You sat your butt down in front of a camera, you spoke from your perspective, and you stepped into the arena. You had the courage, and people appreciate that. Now, you don't have to get on camera or behind a microphone. You can type this out too, that's totally fine. But what I invite you to do is invest just a few minutes into sharing why that information matters to the people that you care about. Your book of investor clients. That's the seed of conviction. That's leadership. And if your voice sounds like everyone else's, clients can only assume that your advice is just as generic. But when you share perspective, when you share from your exact brain, not just taking and putting your logo on somebody else's content, that's when trust grows and the churn goes down for your clients. Conviction, that builds trust. And in a trust recession, that is your biggest differentiator. It's also a natural bridge to this third part, what I call leveraging your voice through live speaking opportunities. So when you ditch boilerplate content, you start sharing from your perspective, a whole new world of stages opens up. It leads to this area that AI simply cannot touch. I call it the live share the air type experience. Because you can read an AI article. You can even watch this AI avatar talk to you, even something that has your exact image, your exact likeness, but you can't fake being in a room with a real audience speaking from your gut about what are you seeing in the marketplace and what are the different challenges, the opportunities that investors face right now. And then after you speak, you give that keynote speech or you give that workshop, answering real questions in real time, putting yourself in the hot seat. You can't fake that. And that's why speaking, and whatever the context, whether event, it could be a chamber of commerce, a community workshop, podcast interview, even a client town hall, this is still one of the fastest ways to accelerate trust. So when you step on stage, when you get in front of an audience, 3 things happen instantly. The first thing, your audience sees that you know your stuff. You either got the goods or not, and it becomes pretty obvious whether you're someone that they can trust. Second thing is that they feel that you care. Great advisors, they don't step on stage as an advisor. They step on stage as a communicator who happens to have licenses next to their name. The third thing is that they believe you're credible. You might think, well, I have to be polished. I have to be this incredible, have all the delivery and just say just right and move just right on stage. No, you don't have to be a polished keynote speaker to pull this off. You simply have to show up and deliver. AI is polished. Humans are imperfect. And that's not saying that you go and you just kind of fumble your way through it. Be prepared, do the preparation, do the practice, make sure you have a nice clear flow and structure throughout your signature talk, and that's what makes you compelling. It's because when you get in front of real audiences, you share your perspective. Share stories from real conversations with prospects and clients. Talk about those times you had the egg on the face moments. Take questions, let them see your conviction live, and even be familiar with the words, I don't know. That's a great question. I'd love to talk with you more about that once we're done here. When you have that humility, when you have that humanity show up, that's a great place where people can see you stand out because you get inside the arena. So you're thinking, I'm just looking for places to start out as a speaker. Where are some places that I could look to start speaking this quarter? I'm gonna give you 3 different places. First thing is that you can host a 30-minute client town hall on one timely topic. Make it a Zoom call if you like. Then you hit record and see what can you use from that recording to get in front of the more of the right investors. Chop it up, have your editor take care of it. The second place you can speak is speak at your local chamber of commerce, a BNI, some type of industry association. Check out what's your FPA local meeting for your state or your city. Go there. Third place you can go is you can guest on a niche podcast. Niche, however you pronounce it, whatever. Guest on a podcast that fits your client's interests. Where are they already following this podcast? Get a guest appearance on there and serve that audience well. So start with those 3 and then work on getting on stage at a live in-person event. Like saying, set a simple goal. Say, I'm going to get on one stage per month, one in-person stage per month. It could be 5 people, it could be 500 people, 5,000 people, but get on stage in front of the right audience in person. That's easy enough to do, and I can show you how. Because being in the same room with real people, that turns your greatest differentiator, this conviction, this message, it turns that into felt trust. Because presence beats prompts every single time. So if you're an advisor who's saying, okay, how do I stand out with AI flooding the space? Take these 3 steps. First one, ditch that boilerplate content. It's hurting your authority. Don't use that ever again. Don't put your logo on somebody else's content ever again. Second thing is speak with conviction. Have that fire inside your belly about what you believe is right and good for the audience of investors that you care about the most, and then talk about that. The third thing you do is you show up live. Presence beats prompts all day and twice on Sunday. That is how you stand out. That's how you speak with conviction. That's how you build trust as a financial advisor in an AI-driven world. Real quick, if you found this video helpful, give this a like, hit subscribe, you know what to do. You can drop a comment in there to catch more of my videos about how to speak with conviction and stand out with your message as a financial advisor. Now, one question I get asked a lot from advisors is, John, how do I use AI to grow my business? Where's the best place to start? Well, what I've been telling different advisors is before you invest in any tool or product that happens to have AI in its name, I highly recommend answering 7 questions. These are questions that you need to own these answers, process them through these questions. These will save you time, money, and this will protect your client's trust. And I'm gonna share with you, there's a video coming up next walking you through these 7 questions. Hit play now, I'll see you on the other side.